If I was Chris and Huda and I got this date, you would have seen real time me use the choir director method and go, stop, stop, stop the performance, stop the performance. It could have also gone two other ways, which we will get into. Welcome back to my recaps. My name is Leah. I'm the host of Positively Uncensored, hopefully your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. Where have you been, Leah? Where have you been, Leah? I've been grieving. I've been grieving over Shelly and Ace going home. I've just been getting over the season. I've been grieving the loss of one of my favorite shows, which has now been thrown to the wolves, which is that of the 16-year-olds. And also, I've just been taking time to myself. My good friend came to see me this weekend. It was our first time meeting in real life, even though we've been friends for almost 3 years now. We FaceTime almost every single day. We talk all the time. It was my first time getting to meet her in person. We got to watch the Love Island finale together, which I'm about to get into with you. And lastly, let's just talk about the hair situation. I'm trying to grow my bangs out. I'm trying because I've had bangs for the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. The stage that they're at right now feels very side bang, very chunky. I can't get them to look cute. I don't know what to do. I have a wedding that I'm going to soon. I might just recut them because I just can't make them look cute. And I'm so tired of looking in the mirror and not feeling cute. Also, the length of my hair is just super awkward right now. So we're getting a ponytail today. I'm going to work that up to own that ponytail. Before we get into the finale, I'm going to need you, whether you're listening on YouTube, whether you're listening on Spotify, to do me a favor and engage with this episode. Whether you subscribe, like that video, if you're watching me here on YouTube, if you're listening in your car, make a note to yourself that when you get where you're going, turn on the notification bell, leave me a 5-star review, help me get Positively Uncensored out. This will help me have more success at getting the Islanders on my podcast so that I can interview them. And overall, I would just really appreciate it. Now, let me give you all your claps and thank you, each and every one of you, for supporting me all season. The comments, engaging with me, telling me the different perspectives, watching with me, just getting through this season together. I had a goal of hitting 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. I did it. I did it. I also hit 93,000 subscribers or followers on TikTok. Thank you to every single person who believes in me, supports my content, tunes into my sporadic, spontaneous, outlandish ideas, the way that I articulate myself. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I couldn't do it without you. I do it for you. I do it for us. I do it so that we can have a safe space to watch television. And I'm just really glad that that comes across. Also, I saw my name being thrown into the conversation on Twitter, which I've never been more honored. I saw that it had like 26,000 likes or like 28,000 likes, and it was saying that myself or Kiki Palmer should be doing, or Jessie Woo should be doing an interview with the cast. And I can't even tell you the honor that that is. I was agreeing with the tweet in the first half already, as it was saying to stay away from the Vile Files, call her daddy, chicks in the office. But then to see my name at the back half of the tweet, I'll link it in the details of the episode. Why not? Hashtag hit tweet. Go ahead and give it a like. But honored is an understatement. Honored is an understatement. Getting into the finale. The episode starts with the Islanders celebrating making it to the finals, and we see a passionate, and I mean passionate, kiss between Nick and Alandria. He gently lays her down on the mattress, swings her backwards. They have a great makeout session. That's my opinion. I've seen some discourse online of people like saying that they didn't feel it. Well, wake it up. Wake it up, because I felt it. I felt it from all the way over here. It was just so Cinderella, so Sleeping Beauty. I just love how gentle he is with her. It's just so much different energy than what we saw in his relationship with Sierra. Not to compare it, but it's just very different. And how Alandria is able to be herself is different than how she was with Taylor. Nick has a friendship with Alandria first, and I think that that really matters. Now, Nick tells Alandria in private that he kissed her the second night in the villa when they were blindfolded. And I'm want to note really quick that I'm glad that he did this because later on, I think when they do their declarations of love, Nick says this in front of everybody. So I was happy that he took a moment to tell Alandria privately to herself, just so that this wasn't like sprung upon her in front of everybody for her to react to at the end. It was a cute moment, a special moment. Alandria talks about how she was turned off initially. Nick had a love triangle going on with Sierra, Beldasha, and she was like, I'm good. I'm good on that. So we're sort of hearing more about why they stayed away from each other or why they were kept away from each other. It's that invisible string theory, right? Coming back to each other. She was with Taylor, Nick had a lot going on, but they still ended up sharing the same journey and have always expressed interest in one another. Chris and Huda are temporarily okay. The families just left. They're on high of family day. Huda's feeling good having seen her relatives. Chris was given so much more affirmation than he was even prepared for from his mom and sister. Mind you, the footage that they saw, the last footage they saw, was Chris caving and being intimate with Huda, and they didn't see the baby challenge. They didn't see the poking in the sleep. Like there's so much context that they missed prior. And what I'm most curious about when Chris goes home is what his mom actually thinks now. That's what I'm most curious about. I'd also like to point out that one thing that's felt really weird about this season is that I feel like the contestants have never been more aware that they're on a TV show. Like we talk about it consistently in the finale, make it to the finals. Did you ever think that we'll be here? And I'll point out a couple of comments throughout the episodes, but it's been all season. And I get it. We're sort of like breaking the fourth wall. Like they know that they're there. But in past seasons, it's felt less like they know that they're on a show and more so like they're just living their experience. And I need that. I need things to go back to that because I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy that. And I'm wondering what everybody else thinks. Oh yeah, because Brian and Chris are in the bathroom and they're like the Casa Boys made it to the finale. It felt like the goal this season was to make it to the finale, to be the final four versus to find a connection, do exploring with multiple partners in a way that you don't usually get to. Like even more so than like walking out with a platform, people are just wanting to make it to the finals. Granted the two are like connected to each other, but nonetheless, it's very weird. In the morning, Huda and Amaya are jumping about, throwing pillows, laughing, celebrating the fact that it's the final day. And mind you, this is a pillow fight that looks like they started. Okay, Amaya and Huda, they're throwing the pillows. Huda hits Chris with a pillow. She walks backward. Chris hurls a pillow at her. He does sort of hurl it in her direction, but it hits her in the face. Mind you, it's a pillow. It's a soft object, okay? But it hits her in the face. She's like, my nose, Chris. Like, oh, you hit me in the nose. Now, granted, she did. I think that her surgeon was talking about the fact that like like see my work on this season of Love Island. We've seen this happen in prior seasons, so I do think that she did get a nose job pretty close to the start of the season. So I understand things are still healing in there, so it's definitely vulnerable. But like, don't start a pillow fight. Like that's like what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You're supposed to be treating yourself like you're in a bubble after you just get your nose done. But it's just like, okay, did it probably hurt? Yes. Do I think that something that was fun and everybody else had fun with only turned into something else with Huda? Yes. Do I think Amaya would have had the same reaction? No. No, I don't. No, I don't. And we see Chris roll his eyes as soon as he realizes he hit Huda in the nose, and she's making a big deal about. She's like, "Chris, you hit me in the nose, bro." And at first, everybody was laughing, but Chris was like, "Wait a second." Like he did care. He did care. He was like, "Wait a second. Like, is she good?" But just like the immediate reaction, he was like, "Okay, okay." So he rolls his eyes. Now, after this, she comes back with a cast on her nose. She's like, look what I have to wear because of you. Look. Okay. And now it's the middle of the night. Fast forward, it's the middle of the night. Chris has his back turned to Huda. He looked asleep to me. Like he looked asleep to me, but I guess Huda knew that he wasn't. She's poking at him. Poking at him. First of all, poking is so annoying. I always call this little brother behavior. Even just being poked, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. That in itself is annoying. To be poked in the middle of my sleep, even more annoying. If I'm not being poked, to either tell me, hey, I ordered Domino's and there's some downstairs. Do you want any? Like if I'm not being poked to be told something good, or there's someone downstairs. Like if I'm not being poked for an urgent reason and you're waking me up to argue, or I'm trying to fall asleep. We get 2 to 4 hours of sleep a night. I'm trying to fall asleep and you're poking me. Why? Why are you poking me? And it's unclear what she wanted from Chris. Is she poking him to argue? Is she poking him because she wanted to have makeup sex and be intimate? If so, to follow that up with the comment of, you have until the count of 3, and then, okay, if you're not going to cuddle, if not cuddling me is worth me being upset tomorrow, that's the battle that you're picking. Congratulations. Got a call from my best friend, so naturally I answered. We're going to talk about Love Island, so I'll be back in a second. We had ourselves a time, me and my best friend, talking about Love Island. It actually helped me get my thoughts in order. So, getting back into things, I was talking about Huda and Chris's pillow fight. I was talking about her tapping in the middle of the night and how she threatened him. You have 3 seconds. If not cuddling me is worth me being upset tomorrow, that's the battle you're picking. Congratulations. Now, like I said, this has been interpreted in a number of ways. It seems like it could be potentially that she was trying to get some intimacy with Chris. Like I said, following that up with that comment would be coercive. Very strange behavior. Mind you, if it was not that and you just wanted to be cuddled, why do you think that you're entitled to that? She's like, I slept cold last night. Like, there are people who are actually sleeping cold. So, like, maybe let's not, like maybe let's not. And it's like, mind you, it's their finale eve. It's their finale eve. Like she truly just can't help herself. Tomorrow is their last day. They are in the final 4. It's an honor to be there. There are millions of people who would want to be in this exact spot, and she can't even keep it cute, keep it cordial, and not argue to make it to the finals. It's shocking. However, and still yet, I wasn't sure that this toxicity would be put to an end and that they would formally split ways just because of how long things took with Jeremiah. It's also Huda HQ's fault. You guys did this. Congratulations. Big round of applause. I Turned Pretty starts today, July 16th, and I will be ruining it for you. I've never tuned into any season before, just like how you guys have never tuned into any season before and tuned into season 7. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to make educated or informed opinions, and I'm going to ruin the episodes as soon as they come out. So I'm coming for you. 16-year-olds, Huda HQ. It's your fault. Shelly and Ace should have been here. They absolutely should have been here. Iris and Pepe shouldn't be here either, but that's another conversation for a different day. But Shelly and Ace should have absolutely been here. And for Chris and Huda, the non-couple, to take up a finale spot just because of blind loyalty, and like the popularity contest that this season is, where you can support an individual and just get her to the finale despite not having a legitimate connection. The writing was on the wall for Chris and Huda's relationship for how long? For how long? And they were still brought to the finale. So I'm blaming that completely on all of Huda HQ. Also, this is the first season that it's been a popularity contest. In what season have we made it to the finale where it's based on an individual and not the couple? This feels like the first season. This also was the first season where people were sent home, and not just by the villa. I'm so tired of seeing that narrative. Yeah, the villa sometimes sent people home, but a lot of it was in the app. A lot of it was voting, and people just voted for their favorite people. Annoying. The first date. It's the final day. All of the couples are going on their final dates. And the first date that we get to see is NicOlandria, who call themselves Freak-o-Nico, and it makes me laugh every single time. In my opinion, Nick and Alandria got the perfect date for a number of reasons. First of all, they went to a private island. They got time on the boat together. Okay, so that's two romantic things right there. Then the two of them had felt a connection since day one, but it seems like there's been so much hesitancy. If anything, shout out to Chicks in the Office for doing a horrible interview. If anything, there might be outside pressure for them not to be together, actually, than pressure for them to be together. So I'm going to be doing a recap of the Chicks in the Office interview, but I just had to throw that in. This was the perfect date. They got to hear validation that their connection was there. Alandria got to hear validation that Nick has been invested in her since day one. Black women have talked about the experience that they have dating and how it feels, especially in white spaces, to feel like you aren't somebody's type. So for Alandria to hear that validation about her and Nick's connection that she had been feeling, and to see the signs validated by other people and then get support of their relationship. Then you have Nick, who just was in a serious connection, had closed things off. She left, and now he's pursuing a connection that he had since day one. It's nice for him to hear that validation and support. I'm sure that he probably felt like, does America think I'm a fuckboy? What do they think of me? What do my parents think of me? So to find out that he's had both his family's blessing and the support of outside, I think that that was a really huge deal for them. So Freak-o-Nico takes their boat ride to a private island, which Nick has named Nolandria Island. I've loved hearing all of the nicknames that they call themselves throughout the season, whether it's Freak-o-Nico, NicOlandria. It makes me laugh every single time. Now they get to this private island, and it's clear to me also that this is one of those islands that I don't think is there all the time. Like, I think you have a certain period of time in which it's not, the tide hasn't come in which you can walk it. So I'm sure that this date was planned. This is like a very private island. They get there, set up for them as they walk the beach are notes from viewers and fans. Like I said, affirming their relationship and letting them know that others have always seen the connection between the two of them. Nick gives space for Alandria on this date for her to let down her walls. That's been beautiful to see in itself. Like I said, I hate to compare the two connections, but the way that Nick gives Alandria space to let down her walls, put some of the burden on him, and like share her emotions openly, it's so beautiful to see that vulnerability show up in their relationship. And both of them have that space. They take a walk after walking down the beach and reading some notes from the fans, and they wind up at like this little cute pink petunia picnic, which is perfect because Alandria loves pink. She loves brunch and like picnic dates, my dream date, and you knew that, right? So this is like a perfect date. She looks like a little Barbie. The two of them sit, they have a champagne toast, and Alandria opens up and talks about how in the past she has had a history of falling in love with the potential of someone versus what's actually in front of her. I think so many women hearing that can absolutely relate. Raise your hand if you've ever been 10 steps ahead and picturing a perfect life for yourself with somebody without digesting all of the hardships you would have to go through, the reality of who that person is now. A lot of times, you get confronted with, if you wouldn't marry them exactly as they are now, exactly as they're showing up now, then it's probably not a good idea to romanticize things that you're not sure would change. I think that that's a great thing to live by, which is why it's so important to intentionally date, which we also know that Alandria has done, because she talks about how she doesn't, did she say that this is like one of the first people that she's introduced to her mother? So she does intentionally date, which is why it's even more so annoying how Taylor did Alandria. Now, Nick talks about how he's been in love twice. This is the second show in the same month where I've heard people talk about how you have your two loves, but your third love is your final love. For some reason, I guess I'm living under a rock. That was the first time that I've ever heard that, but I believe it. I believe it. And I cheers to that. I also love them making plans, solid plans for outside of the villa. She wants to meet Nick's parents. She was already invited on family day to a dinner in Florida to taste his mom's meatballs. Okay. She's excited for Nick to meet her friends. She's excited to bring Nick to Decatur. I just think the two of them making these solid plans and then seeing outside real time outside of the villa. They're going on a date with Shelly and Ace. They're Taylor and Clark are there as well. But yeah, they're going on a date with Shelly and Ace. They're doing things together. They're taking time for their relationship. Simultaneously, I don't want to put pressure on Nick and Alandria because we all know that pressure, yes, it makes diamonds, but it can also ruin relationships. I loved their kiss here. They made out. Nick was wearing Alandria's lip combo. He says, I love wearing your lip combo. I like how secure Nick is with his masculinity. Even on the boat when he put his arms out and like he was essentially Rose in the Titanic scene. I just enjoy that. At the end of their date, they both arrive to important letters from their family members. Alandria gets a letter from her sister, and Nick gets a letter from his dad, and both of them cry. I also thought it was beautiful that they read the letters to each other so that the other person had space to process the letter, get emotional, didn't have to read the letter and get choked up and barely be able to make it through it. I know that's how I would be feeling. Nick's dad tells him that he's proud of him. He's the funniest person in the villa, that he's seen Alandria's connection since day one, that the fact that they started off as friends is the exact key component that's kept him and his mother together for so long. 35 years together, they started off as friends. I love to hear Nick supporting his relationship. Alandria opens a letter from her sister, and it was so sweet. She was basically telling her that she looks up to her as her older sister. She tells her that she supports the relationship with Nick. She says that she loves Nick for her. That's a big deal, okay? The pickiest people in their lives are very supportive of their connection. So their date, super, 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 super cute. Now back at the villa, mind you, it's again the last day. Huda's complaining about Chris. They're waiting for their date. Like you could be getting ready for your date, not sure when it's going to be, but you could be getting ready for your date. You could be trying to patch things up. She's complaining about Chris. She can't understand why Chris doesn't feel like being physical when delete that. Huda's upset that Chris basically isn't giving her any affection. She's upset that she has to initiate things with him. And she says that she's not asking for a lot, but even holding hands or putting his hand on her leg, like she has to initiate all of that. And what she can't understand is that Chris, men, human beings in general, don't feel like being physical when things are not good emotionally. If you're mistreating me, talking down to me, degrading me, berating me publicly, if things just aren't good, if things are hostile, if you're being passive aggressive, if there's something in the air, if you're always criticizing me, I'm not going to want to be physical with you. Intimacy isn't a band aid that you put over a relationship to try to patch things. Intimacy isn't a means to have makeup sex that you have with your partner while you're both angry at each other or upset with each other. Like, that's not how I view intimacy. And I don't think that that's necessarily a healthy way for anybody to view intimacy. It's not just a way to make up, it is an exchange of energy, it is something that you do. And there's, of course, you can have fun, casual sex. I'm totally in support of that. Simultaneously, you're not going to want to. Keyword fun. Okay. Keyword casual. You're not going to want to with all of these like attached expectations added on to the negativity that's in your relationship. Now, also make it make sense that you don't want the PDA. You said that you want to do your relationship different than Jeremiah. So you're not wanting to kiss, hold hands, have a cheek kiss in front of others. You're only wanting to have sex behind the scenes. And you tell him that. And then he pulls back in terms of physical touch and validating you. And all of a sudden you're confused. It's like being the queen of mixed signals. I also think that Huda just, I know people are going to be like that friend that's too woke, but I just think that Huda fails to realize the nuances of this as well, because sexualizing a Black man or implying that you only want to have sex with him it just, I don't know whether fetishism is the right word, but it just feels inappropriate, especially with all of the historical situations in which Black men were looked at as if they were a way for women, for specifically non-Black women, to pleasure themselves. Like that was their purpose. It's just gross. Like there is just layers to this situation. It's not just as simple as Huda wants to be private and have sex. They're not in a private bedroom. They don't have a private suite. They're in the middle of everybody. And it's sort of like putting somebody in a box as far as what level of intimacy, what level of whatever you're willing to put into that relationship. Sorry, my ADHD is at an all-time high. Now, I'm going to say something, and I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it's just something that I've noticed. I knew that Brian and Amaya were going to win. Number one, because she's a fan favorite. Amaya Papaya has blown up. And you know what? Amaya is herself. She's deserving of love. And I've enjoyed watching her all season. So again, this is nothing negative to Brian or Amaya all season. Nothing. But they're very much at this point in the season. This is the last episode. They're in producers' pockets. And by that, I mean, at least for the last 3 episodes, I've noticed that it's either Brian or Amaya who are the conversation starters amongst the group, asking others, how are you feeling about this? Going up to others to have a conversation. And it just seems like, I'm not saying that they knew that they were going to win, but at the very least, I think that they knew that they were favorites. And I think that they were, yeah, I think the production was like, hey, will you go start this conversation? And they were like, sure. Sure. Okay. Why not? So that's just my opinion. Okay. Brian and Chris's conversation. It's also like, especially with Brian, not necessarily with Amaya, but especially with Brian, I just feel like they're being used as a way to try to like patch up Chris and Huda's relationship without production directly interfering. And it's just something that annoys me as someone who didn't want to see Chris and Huda in this finale. The example that I'll give you is Brian has a conversation with Chris, and this is after Huda's venting about Chris, it being their last day. This is after the poking, okay? And he talks about where things are right now. Brian is like, do you want my advice? And Chris is like, yeah. Like, tell me what you would do. And Brian's like, on some real shit, I would try. Starting a sentence with on some real shit and then ending with I would try for this situation. And Brian doesn't have the excuse that Chris's parents do, who were shown very limited footage. Like it seems like production kept them from seeing the fullness of Chris's situation and relationship. And like the last thing they saw, intentionally so, was Chris and Huda being intimate, him folding. But for you in the villa, having seen things, you've been here for a while now, for your advice to be to him to try on some real shit, I would try. It's either you're in producers' pockets or Brian's main focus is the fact that 2 boys from Casa made it to the finale. It's not the first time that they've had that conversation either. I'm just saying. Okay. Now, Landria comes back from her date and she's telling Amaya and Huda about the private island that she went to. And Nick is talking to the guys. It was a sad scene to see Nick come back and hug on, what was it? Pepe, Chris. Who else is there? Pepe, Chris. Pepe, Chris, Nick, Brian. Yeah. I'm like, you're 3 guys the entire villa time. It was you, Taylor, and Ace. Not that I want Taylor there in the finale, I don't. But just seeing Nick have to like be ecstatic about his date with like the people he just met. But I don't know, who am I to judge? Because bringing back up the chicks in the office episode, Nick did say that he was going to be living with Brian and Chris in LA, which is a choice. Now let's get to Huda and Chris's dinner. As I started this episode saying, I think I would have shut this date down, but in a number of ways, and I'll provide you all of the options. Now, let's point out a few interesting thing about Huda and Chris's date. They definitely intentionally had the worst date. They also have the worst relationship there, the most unserious relationship, the most tension. So why not put them on a date where all they have to do is talk, no distractions? Every other couple had things to do. I'll be completely honest with you. I skipped right over Iris and Pepe's date, but they left the villa. I'll tell you that. They left the villa. They weren't just sitting at dinner. Brian and Amaya were looking at their family photos together. Nick and Alandria were walking the beach and reading about support from the fans. Huda and Chris got Moon River 30 minutes into the episode. Something popped up on my computer, sorry. So, from a cinema perspective, if Chris and Huda had to be in the finale, was this date a great choice? Yes. Do I think Chris is getting some unnecessary hate as a result of this date? Yes. So they get to their date, and what it looks like is they are in a pool, a pond of floating water, and they're on like a floating platform that's just remote in the middle of the water. Chris has to carry Huda to the date. She has on her heels and a dress. Mind you, this is the final date. So he has to carry her to the dinner spot barefoot, and then they have dinner and they're looking at each other. Now, Chris would like to address the things going wrong in the relationship, and Huda's unable to let him get these words out. She's quick with the interrupting. Always the interrupting. I think he started with something about how I don't think that at this early stage of a relationship, we should be saying every single thing out loud that we don't like about our partner. Like he's basically saying, like, let's leave some mystery. Like there's supposed to be a period of like getting to know your partner, trying to work out things about them, trying to see things. And Huda's response she cut in was, I think we should. I think we should. Like they just have a difference in how they would handle things anyways. So he's talking, he tells her like I don't know why you think you can treat a grown man like that, and talks about some of the things that she does as far as calling him out, being passive aggressive, and Huda's take is that we both did things. Okay, but we're talking right now. Chris had a reaction to you. Okay. But right now, we're talking about your role, and Huda can never stay in that. She's interrupting. She's like, our problem is the physical. Your problem is not the physical. Your problem is prioritizing the physical. That's the honest to God problem. No slut shaming. That's the problem. Okay? You don't need more physical touch. You need more communication. You need more understanding. You need to be more graceful towards people. You need to give the grace that you're asking for. You need to listen first and then respond. You need to stop listening to respond to somebody else. You need to go to therapy. Okay? Like there's just so many things. There's just so many things. But our problem is the physical, is her take. Okay, now Chris is on his third glass of champagne at this point, and I don't blame him. And what he's trying to do is get Huda to break up with him. And again, I don't blame him. He doesn't want to wear the badge of being the person who breaks up with her. Okay. It was clear where the relationship was going to, anyways. She is the one who was the demise and the downfall of the relationship. She is the one who made there be tension in the relationship. So then you can end it. You can be the one to end it and get out. So she's like, after drawing it out for about 10 minutes, she's like, I think we should just be friends. Moon River. Now, now, nope. Nope. I would shut that down. I would shut that down from either perspective. Either that or like a quick hand up. I'm so sorry. Please stop singing though. I know this is your job. I know that they're asking you to. I know you feel really awkward, but what we're not going to do, no. Option 3, continue arguing over Moon River. If I feel awkward, everybody feels awkward, which is so unfair and unfortunate to the performer who is paid by production to be there. But if I feel awkward, then we all feel awkward. Option 4, grab the champagne, down it, stand in the water, and enjoy the performance. Forget about the date and walk back. Those are the only options of how to handle this date. The fact that Chris walks away afterwards in production, you know, like this is the thing. People are like, it's so mean that Chris didn't carry Huda back. Why? Why? Producers picked this date, not Chris. They did it intentionally. They were hoping for this moment. He tried to leave the date, and you know damn sure that he didn't just decide to go back. They sent him back at the end. She's crying after breaking things up and sabotaging the relationship. It's like I too would ask, why are you crying? No, I'm not going to carry you. No, I'm not going to carry you. If production wants you to get over there while not being wet, then they can do it the same way as they set up this date. But production didn't want that. That's why they gave Chris water shoes and they didn't give him an extra pair to carry over for Huda. They wanted him to look like the villain. Actually, no. Actually, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do think it's funny that he said, no, I'm not going to carry you. Because why did they select that date? Why did they select that date? Now, when they come back, this is what's hilarious. They come back, and the Islanders thinking that, like, maybe they worked things out, maybe they patched things up, or maybe they just decided to exist cordially, keep things cute, but everybody's in a good mood because we made it to the finale. We're one step closer to 100K. So they walk in, they're not holding hands, they're not standing next to each other. The Islanders, like, woo! Like, oh shit. Huda comes back, talks to the girls, tells them that her and Chris are broken up. The fact that a couple can break up and then stay in the finale is shocking. Fuck you, production. Make things right. You should have sent them home right then and brought back Shelly and Ace. You know what? Matter of fact, never make a season like this again. Never make a season like this again. Somebody on Twitter said, take a year off and think about what you did. Yep. 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 Fuck you. Not going to play a part to the rage bait. If that's where we're going, I'm going to tap the fuck out. I'm going to tap the fuck out because the Bachelor franchise is already bad enough. So if that's the direction that we're going after such a feel good season as season 6, you guys can kindly up yours. Up yours. Brian and Amaya have their date, and they basically have a dinner date. They look at childhood photos of each other as babies. This was very sweet. I like what Brian said about how holidays are for having your phones off. Everybody in the family is busy, but this is the one day that everybody gets together, puts aside their busy schedules, stays off their phone, and just makes it about checking in with each other. I think it's very cute that the both of them are so family oriented. We also learn more about Amaya during this date. We learned that her mom was 19 when she had her. She did her hair so cute. And Amaya's just like, Amaya's just a ball of energy. Like, if you ever had to show Amaya something and you want to be hyped up, she's your girl. She's the perfect person. Her reaction to all of Brian's photos, they are a cute couple. They're absolutely a cute couple. There's no drama there. So a bit boring, but they're so cute. Okay? They're so cute and she deserves that after such a stressful season and so many people invalidating her. They share a sweet dance together. They have a kiss. I did not like Amaya's dress, but if she likes it, I love that for her. Okay? Again with the finale. Now Pepe is asking Nick if he ever thought that he would get here, not if he ever thought that he would find a connection with Alandria, not did he ever think that he would leave so excited about something. No, did you think that you would get here to the finals? Pepe, the fact that you're here, the fact that you're here. So it's time for bed, and Chris decides that he's going to go outside and sleep in soul ties, leaving Huda to feel alone. And she says, I don't feel bad at all. I don't feel bad. In fact, I feel nothing. I think he's being dramatic because we didn't end on bad terms. Mind you, you can't share a fucking bed with you, Huda, because you're fucking poking people. You poke at people and prod at people. I'm sorry. She really does get my blood pressure worked up, and that's why I also had to take a few days. And like, is it the editing? Is it what's happening here? I don't know. Okay. Now it's the morning time, everybody's woken up, and Brian goes to talk to Chris, who slept in soul ties, and he asks him if Huda can repair things today. Again, Brian going to check in on something and start the conversation. He says, nope, that shit is cooked, it's deep fried, it's done. Like, Brian, what do you think? No. No. Okay. The girls go to a spa day and have a day together, and Huda's pumped because she's the only one who's single there, and the guys have to be away. I would have loved to see more time with Nick and Alandria, actually, and the couples, but hey. Okay. So they go away, and Huda and Iris get their massage. Don't really care. I'm going to be very honest. And Alandria and Amaya have a conversation at the pool and have themselves a great time. Huda tells Iris, I will point out this. Huda tells Iris that she's happy that she found friends. That's your fault, Huda HQ. That's your fault. This is not Friendship Island. Download Bumble Friends. Find some friends. Okay? You didn't need to be on the show to do that. It's laughable that somebody's here and reflecting on their journey and how they came to have friends when that's quite literally just not the premise of this show. Okay. So we're getting to the end and it's finale evening. I'm not really going to go through everybody's speeches because, to be honest, I'm curious if they really wrote it. But obviously, my favorite speech was Nick and Alandria's speech that they gave to each other. Okay. Now, Huda's sitting there and commentating every person's speech. I mean, what really made me wonder if people wrote this was Chris's speech, but Nick's speech and Alandria's did sound like it was written in their tone of voice. I love that the overall question consistently throughout Nick's speech was how many signs did we miss along the way? It was very poetic, and also hashtag NicOlandria. Hashtag NicOlandria. That's the word of the season. Hashtag NicOlandria. Hashtag Shelly Alandria. That's the words of the season. So Huda's sitting there clapping on every speech. Get the fuck on with it. Okay. Ariana comes out and I hate her dress. I hate her dress and I hate the braid. It reminded me of that mold that you put on your teeth at the dentist office. I know it was supposed to be abstract and beautiful, and maybe I'm in the wrong here, but didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Going through the places, Pepe and Iris, Papyrus, they come in fourth place. Pepe and Iris have flew under the radar as far as being arguably the biggest scammers of the season because there is no relationship. There is no relationship. When TJ left, I've always been of the mindset that TJ and Iris had a conversation where he said, play it up, do what you have to do, see you after the season. I think she did just that. Wonder if if Pepe really had sex or if she just went under the covers and made it seem like it for viewers. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised. I wouldn't even be surprised. But Papyrus comes in fourth. Huda's HQ got her to third place somehow. The crowd went silent. NicOlandria came in second. Hallelujah. At least it wasn't Chris and Huda or Pepe and Iris. We did it. I voted for them every single time, every single week. Nick and Alandria, Nick and Alandria, Nick and Alandria. I had my partner vote for Shelly and Ace just to keep it even. Okay. But Nick Alandria. And then Brian and Amaya won first place. They need to do away with the segment where they ask, like, and are you guys going to split the money or are you going to take it all to yourself? No one's ever done that. No one's ever done that. There's never been a season where someone has taken the money. So until you have a season where that actually happens, stop doing that. Or, I'm sorry, like, going to be toxic for a second, cast somebody who would literally, and let it not be against a Black woman, but cast somebody who would lie the entire season, act like they're into somebody when they're not, and then take the money at the end. But that segment, there's no suspense, there's no drama, nobody gives a fuck. Take it out. Take it out. It's unnecessary. Overall, I'm really glad this season is over. I'm glad the season is over because now I have the choice of whose content I want to tune into and whose content I don't want to tune into. I don't just have to tune in to a television show where things trigger me and make me mad. Now I have the choice. Now I have the choice of what interviews to listen to, which cast members to keep up with, which cast members to follow along with. And I just know that I'm not the only person who is frustrated by this season. Ending the final four and not having Shelly and Ace, annoying. Huda HQ, annoying. the defending, the underlying racism that's rampant in her fan base, particularly, is disturbing. The infiltration of 16-year-olds. If anybody who has a parent to a teenager is watching my video, in the most respectful way, because I have so much respect for you as a parent, you need to do a better job and go check your kids' phones, because it's not just the 16-year-old that you think it is, it's your 16-year-old. So get their fucking phone, check the comments that they're leaving, and get your kids in check, because they're being weird, they're being racist, and they do have a digital footprint, which will impact them someday. So if you won't educate them about that, then we certainly will in 10 years when they have college to go to or something else. And this is brought back up. Parents, get your kids in check. The amount of like hatefulness, the death threats, the racism, it's coming from like the young teenagers. Go check your kids' phones. I still don't believe they're putting porn along with an ID. Fine, don't really care. That mostly affects men, so honestly kind of hilarious. But you shouldn't be able to have a social media without your fucking address, because if you're commenting death threats, you should be in trouble. You should be in trouble. Sorry. Sorry. If you're being racist, you should be in trouble. And it's just so unfortunate because last season was fun. Summer House is supposed to be fun. Love Island is supposed to be fun. This year, not fun. Not fun. And viewers have to take accountability. I won't. Nope, I'm sorry. Do I contribute to having opinions? Yep. Have I ever commented on someone's stuff? Nope. Have I ever said anything untoward about Shelley and Alandria? No. No. So if you did and you encouraged the mob to come after them, if your content was curtailed towards criticizing them and you have no recognition or acknowledgement or accountability over the fact that if you give white people a fucking inch, they take a mile, and that's going to surmount to a lot more criticism and pile on. We've seen it from brands. This season, I'm glad it's done. I'm glad it's over, everybody. I'm glad it's over. NicOlandria on top, Shelley and Ace on top. Pretty much the only couples that I'll be keeping up with outside of the villa. Those are my people. That's who I'm keeping up with. I will be reporting on all of the Love Island outside the villa tea. I will be coming back to do a Beyond the Villa recap. And things are going to start getting lighter. Things are going to start getting lighter. I'm shaking off this season of Love Island. I'm done. I'm done with Huda HQ. I can now control my algorithm. So everything is going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. I'm going to be back to talk about NicOlandria's first live in the 14 minutes that's on Twitter. Amaya's interview with Call Her Daddy when I have the stamina to watch it. Nick's interview that he did with Clark and Taylor. Dick's in the Office interview with Nick. Alandria hitting 1 million. Okay? Beyond the Villa and all of the drama that's come out from that. Zach and Elan's TikTok Live. I'm going to be talking about all of it. So please come back to the page, hit subscribe. I hope that all of you enjoyed this episode, whether you're listening, whether you're watching me. Thank you for making time out of your day. This season is over, baby. This season's over. Freak-o-Nico on top. If you want to see me interview the cast, put my name in their comments. Help me get their attention, because I don't know that I'm going to be circled back to by production. I'll still keep my fingers crossed, but it doesn't seem like it. And I hope the rest of you have an amazing day. Bye.